So the purpose of this video is to answer the question, how do I synthesize my sources? And essentially what this is about is how do we get you from assignment 1 where you summarized your sources to assignment 2 where you pull sources together into one cohesive paper. And notice that really the way that the assignments have been built is that we're trying to track you and have you build your sources into a larger paper over a period of time. So we started with assignment 1 where you just had to choose a topic and start to identify sources. Now we're going to take some of those sources, not all of them, but we're going to take 6 sources and organize them into one cohesive 4 to 6 page paper on one portion of your topic, not the whole topic. Eventually, by the end of the semester, we'll talk about your whole topic in a much larger 15 to 20 page paper. So the purpose of assignment 2 is to help you organize your sources from assignment 1 into sections. You're going to do that in the worksheet that you're going to do right after you finish watching this video. Then take 6 of your sources and combine them into one written section. Include an introduction and conclusion for your section. So you're going to tell me what's the section about, and then you're going to tell me what you told me about. Transition between your studies, so don't just give me study A, study B, study C, but actually tell me how they're similar and different. And then by the end of it, what you're going to do is write a 4 to 6 page writing sample that you'll submit. It's going to be an APA style format, which is going to be discussed in the technical writing video for the next class. Make sure you watch this video. This is a very important thing. When I talk about the organization of your paper, I want you to think about it as a funnel, where you're going to start with the intro at the top, pretty broad into your section. You're going to give me content on those 6 sources, and then you're going to have a summary at the end. So hopefully you'll be able to use the articles that you cited in your first assignment in that bibliography. I know you had to summarize 3 of them. Ideally, you can use some of those summaries. You'll have to add some more. You'll be continuing to acquire literature, as while you only had 10 sources in your bibliography for assignment 1, you're going to need over 20 sources for assignment 3. So don't stop looking for sources. If you had to summarize, or what I'm going to call settle research for research articles in your assignment 1 that you don't really want to talk about anymore because you've changed your topic, just make sure you spend some more time finding sources. Before we get into the specifics of technical writing, which we'll talk about next class, we'll talk a little bit about purpose and then how to go about synthesizing your lit. What we're trying to do here is establish researcher competence in your topic. So by completing a review of literature, the researcher is now able to become an expert in their chosen area of interest, or for that matter, your topic. So completing a review of lit allows you to synthesize and summarize relevant literature and answer the following questions. What's worked, what hasn't worked, and for that matter, what's been done. If you don't know this information, there's no way you can develop your own methodology when it comes to actually conducting your own thesis or dissertation. The review of literature is the basis for inductive reasoning. Remember, inductive reasoning is that bottom-up approach where you're going to have a whole bunch of individual sources at the bottom, and you're going to take these sources and you're going to generate ideas towards your methodology that you're going to use when it comes, sorry, that says method, you just can't tell, that you're going to use when it comes to writing your thesis. So you need to use, this is part of the inductive part of any sort of study, whether it be quantitative or qualitative. Remember where this falls in the research process. This is another visual that we can sometimes use, where you've already identified your research problem or your topic, then the review of literature is next. You're going to take that review of literature so that when you get to proposal design, you can identify variables, you can state a hypothesis, develop a methodology. You'll do all of those things in proposal design probably next semester for most master's students. Then you collect data in your second year and prepare to analyze the data and present your findings for your thesis defense. But before you can do any of that, right after you identify your problem, you have to follow it up by conducting a review of literature. So for assignment 2, you're going to have to give me a 4 to 6 page writing sample synthesizing your sources. You'll have to make sure you cite 6 different sources in text. They can be either primary or secondary, but they have to be mostly primary, and look at the assignment for the requirement. You must include both allied and critical literature, which we'll talk about in a second, and your primary sources can be either qualitative or quantitative in nature. Now that allied versus critical. Allied literature is studies that are near your topic area but aren't exactly what you're doing. So they come from related fields or disciplines, or they're talking about related variables, but they don't go exactly with what you're doing. Where critical research is studies that are fairly close to what you're doing. So when you go about creating your sections for coming up, usually what happens is when we create our sections, we're going to actually go back to the concept of a funnel. Within your entire paper, you're going to have a funnel where sections 1, 2, and 3 are going to go from more general or more allied to more critical, or more specific or close to what you're talking about. So depending on what section you decide to write for this paper, whether it be section 1, section 2, or section 3, you might be using more allied research or more critical research. So what do I mean by a section? By the end of your proposal class, most of you are going to have created a paper that has 3 to 5 content sections that fit underneath your topic. Sections are usually parts or components of your topic that will eventually lead to the overall justification for your research project. So in assignment 2, I don't want you can't write about your entire topic in just 6 pages, it's impossible. So instead, we're going to focus you on one small component of your topic. For example, here are some potential sections. Up here, I have a couple of examples. This is a student's topic, and then here are potential sections, approximately 3 sections, that the student could use. Notice this is going to go from allied to critical, and you're going to see that for all the examples I provide. So this student, their topic was use of technology in Division III recruiting, and this was a real student's topic, and then I'm kind of played around with the sections, but the first most allied section would be general information about recruiting and collegiate athletics. Then the second section, technology that connects athletes and coaches. And then finally, the most critical section, effectiveness of technology in recruiting athletes, which you'll see this section most closely relates to the topic. Here, section 2, this is a strength and conditioning student. Their topic was use of headbands to reduce concussions in soccer. Generally, their most general section, or their most allied, was prevalence and science of concussions in sport. Then, as we went down, effects of concussions to soccer players. So we go from general sport to concussions in soccer players. Now we get even more specific, and we get back to the efficacy of headbands in soccer and reducing concussions, which again ties us most closely back to our topic. For this example, here's a sports psych example. Competitive anxiety in a basketball game situations. Now this person started with a general theory about what's anxiety in sport, and sports psychology has a lot of different theories about how anxiety produces itself in sport. Then the second section relates to how does anxiety in sport relate to performance. So if I'm really anxious, am I going to play worse or am I going to play better? Then the last section here gets to really specific, effective, competitive anxiety on basketball performance, again, most closely tied to our topic. So you can talk about any of your sections. You can do the most allied or you can do the most specific. It doesn't matter. It's really about what you have the most information on at this point. Now, how do you go about writing this? What I want you to do is bring to class about 3 to 4 sources. You can bring more if you want. You can have them on a computer or tablet, or you can have them in paper. And here's how you want to do. You want to first figure out what you need to say. That's why we did all of the article summaries. That's why we understood our topic. That's why we're developing the sections. Then you want to start focusing on a single section to work on. A number of approaches exist. First, you can start by introducing the topics of the section. Just give me one paragraph. Then identify 3 or 4 of your key studies, and then organize them by importance. The most important study should go last. The least important studies should go first. Describe each of these studies in detail. You can use the information from your abstract forms if you did any of your article summary and annotations on any of these articles. Make sure to describe each study completely, and the most important components I want you to include are these components right here: participants, methods, and findings. You can find the participants in the method section. Usually it's called participants or subjects. You can find the method section in the methods and the procedures, and you can find the findings and conclusions in the results and discussion. After you summarize, then you have to make sure you connect your papers. Where are the findings similar? Where are they different? Why do you think they are similar or different? Use this information to go back and edit your paragraphs. We're going to do this in class when we finish section 2 of your worksheet. Finally, you're going to write a summary paragraph that pulls the whole paper together. What are the themes across these studies? What are some of the basic differences? What are the gaps that exist that future researchers need to address? What you can do is you have 2 journal entries that are required to go along with assignment 2. One of your 2 journal entries, you can give me a draft version taking 2 to 3 studies, and this you are not limited to the same page length that you normally are, and I will give you feedback on how well you summarize those 2 to 3 studies. This is a pretty good experience in terms of getting you going on your writing. What I want you to do, this was just one suggestion about how to go write a paper. Some people do the introduction last. Some people have various different ways of writing a paper. Do what works best for you. But what I want you to do now is after you finish watching this video, I want you to go complete section 1 of the Synthesizing Your Sources worksheet. I want you to make sure that you bring at least 3 to 4 sources with you to class, next class, and if you have more, you can have more. They can be on a tablet, they can be on a computer, they can be in your paper, or in paper format. And we'll continue section 2 in class. Alright, thank you.